Alone Together, a DS9 Companion, Episode 1, When Duty Calls. For the last month, Dr. Julian Bashir has remained on Cardassia Prime, supervising the vaccination of the population and eradication of Koval's pathogen. In the meantime, his lunch with Elim Garak led to many revelations, some surprising and others astounding. While Garak is off-world, his EMH is keeping up appearances at home. The Andorian government had been considering leaving the Federation. While Federation assistance and resources were a vital part of restoring Andoria to its pre-war state, the Federation is an enormous alliance and every planet required a level of reconstruction. Andoria, however, is not known for its patience and feels somewhat entitled to priority assistance due to its role as a founding member. Jake Sisko's investigation continues surrounding the mysterious accidents near the Wormhole. There is more to this story, and if anyone can finish a good story, it's Jake Sisko.
In our last episode, Dr. Julian Bashir was able to develop a treatment to cure the modified quickening pathogen created by Tal Shiar Chairman Koval. Though Koval died shortly thereafter, the damage was done, and the population of Cardassia Prime was in danger of extinction. Due to the efforts of Dr. Bashir and his allies, the conspiracy to kill Garik and eradicate the Cardassian population was stopped in its tracks.
Mission log, stardate 73721.4. I had been temporarily assigned to Cardassia Prime as part of Federation relief efforts to cure the population and ensure the eradication of the pathogen. It's my hope that this will prevent any potential subsequent infection. In the meantime, Elim Garak has been called away on a priority mission. His synthetic doppelganger, however, continues to keep up appearances in his absence. I'll be departing to return to the station within the hour. Bashir to Garak.
Garik, here, Doctor.
It seems that the planet is safe and herd immunity has also been established according to Federation medical protocols. This should keep any outbreaks away. Have you heard from Geppetto, Pinocchio?
That's rather offensive, Doctor. I may look like Elim Garak, but I was programmed on Earth to have a great deal of human literary knowledge in my program. I am hardly a marionette.
I suppose you're right. I apologize. But have you heard from him?
I have. However, most of the communiques tend to be brief and to the point. He transmits directly through my auditory subroutines, which, as I'm sure you'd imagine, can be distracting. He hasn't asked me to relay any information, if that's what you're getting at.
Fair enough. Can you tell me if he's made any progress in getting through to the Andorians?
Well, unfortunately, the Castellan rarely reports anything more than the duties he requires me to perform, or specific information that I'm expected to relay. This is a rather one-sided relationship.
Well, you and I share that in common with him. You know, I've been meaning to ask, you have free will. How did he persuade you to play this game?
Well, he hardly persuaded me. My programming includes the Hippocratic Oath. I can do no harm, nor can I ignore a call to protect life. The Castellan needed me to help protect his life and quite possibly the lives of others, and the opportunity to experience life as someone other than a doctor doesn't come across very often for a hologram like me. I have to admit, I've quite enjoyed the role, though I'm looking forward to returning to my medical duties. It has been difficult to be sidelined, as it were, during this crisis.
Yes, I suppose it's nice to stretch your legs once in a while.
You're a doctor. You must get tired of medical emergencies, let alone the humdrum of checkups or trying to get senior officials to submit to their physicals.
Well, to be honest, I find working in the infirmary to be remarkably relaxing. Puzzles by their nature need to be solved. Even research projects are a nice change from some of my more demanding assignments.
Well, how demanding can your life be outside of your medical duties?
Yes, of course. You know, you really do make a convincing Garak. Sometimes I almost forget who I'm talking to.
Yes, he did a surprisingly thorough job of programming the personality subroutines required to imitate him. His proficiencies rarely surprise me anymore. But I must go, Doctor. I have a meeting to attend to, and the Castellan hates when I am late.
Very well. And before you go, I just want to assure you that all traces of the pathogen have been eliminated from the biosphere. And the last citizens to be immunized should be completed this morning, and I'll be leaving momentarily.
Well, very well. I've sent the latest information and demographics to you.
Thank you.
In regard to the crisis and our response, you can actually trust this information, so pass it on to Starfleet Medical with my assurances. I may look like the Castellan, but I'm still Starfleet. I do have ethical subroutines after all.
Thank you for all you have done during the crisis. And thank you for the use of an office during my time on Cardassia.
Well, thank you as well, Doctor. I only wish I could have been more assistance, but I had a great deal to do while the Castellan was in orbit. Safe journey.
I completely understand. Try to enjoy your meeting. Computer, 1 to transport.
Stand by. Energizing.
Cisco to Kira.
Kara here. Jake, it's good to see you. How's my favorite ambassador?
I'm doing fine. But I wish this was a social call. I'm hoping you can help me with something.
I'll do my best. Oh, Joseph told me he just got his transfer. The Enterprise. Captain Worf requested him specifically.
Yeah, Joseph called the girls when he heard about it. Molly's excited to see him. She's lead security in the Gamma shift now.
You grow too fast. Is Kiriyoshi still working with Keiko on the Mars rehabilitation program?
Yeah, he is. He wants to stay close to Mom and Dad. But you know that I'm still looking into the accidents that took Nog and Ezri from us.
Of course. Bajor is still monitoring every passage through the wormhole to look for something Starfleet might have missed. How can I help?
Starfleet has sealed the records of their investigation. They're calling it an internal security matter. Well, since the accidents took place at the mouth of the Celestial Temple in Bajoran space, maybe you could give me permission to use my diplomatic credentials to gain some access.
I can do better than that. I'll talk to the First Minister herself.
You don't have to do that.
Try and stop me. They were my friends with Jake.
I just don't want you to get in trouble with the Bajoran government.
No, let's just say that the First Minister owes me more favors than she likes. She'd be happy to catch in a few. Just give me a few hours.
Thank you, Eminence.
What did I tell you about that?
I know, you said that the son of the emissary doesn't have to call the Kai by any other name but her first. I'm sorry, Nerese. You know how much respect I have for you.
Well, I respect you too, but I am not calling you Mr. Cisco. I'll be in touch with you as soon as I can. Kira out.
Cisco to Bashir.
Jake, what can I do for you? I'm a few hours away from Deep Space Nine. Are you on the station?
I'm on Earth. I need to call in a favor.
Oh, it's too soon to report on the pathogen on Cardassia, Jake. I'm sorry.
No, Julian, that's not what I'm calling about. It has nothing to do with that.
Oh, what can I do for you?
Look, I helped you with Cardassia because my friends needed me. I need your help now. Maybe even Garik can help. This is about Nog.
Nog?
And Ezri, the accidents.
I see.
They just don't make sense to me, Julian. I don't know. The last piece of information I received said the accident was blamed on collisions with Verteron nodes inside the wormhole.
Verteron nodes. Weren't those the particles concentrations that Jadzia identified the first time she and your father were in the wormhole? I remember her telling me that she was able to start correcting them on their return passage.
Exactly. That's the problem.
Wasn't Jadzia also the one who mapped the nodes to allow for ships to account for them during passage through the wormhole?
Yes, you see the problem with my data. Now, she was able to make adjustments to her flight path after one pass. And my dad told me that she was the one to map all the nodes completely after a mission almost ended in disaster.
In the proto-universe, of course.
Yeah, so why would Nog, let alone Ezri, collide with one of those nodes? I mean, you and Ezri served on the Emmett Till for years in the Gamma Quadrant, and the Defiant was there many times. How could there be an officer at the helm of a starship that is not aware of the danger? I mean, how could they be so careless to plot a course through the wormhole like that?
Agreed. It makes no sense. Wait, Jake, what are you thinking?
I'm not sure. I've been talking to one of my sources, Julian. The Emmett Till had barely a few survivors. Ezri and the bridge crew were gone by the time they reached Deep Space Nine. The few survivors that did talk didn't have much information to offer.
Jake, the prophets in the wormhole took an entire Dominion fleet and made it disappear. It sent a man who'd been thought dead for centuries.
Yeah, but Julian, my father is of the wormhole. Do you think he would let this happen to us? If this had anything to do with the prophets, do you think that he wouldn't have found a way to communicate that to me? Whatever this is a linear problem.
Wait a minute, you don't think Starfleet would destroy 2 starships and 2 crews deliberately?
No, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not sure, but there has to be something more to all of this.
Agreed. So, what can I do to help?
Remember Section 31?
Vividly.
I know we haven't heard from them in a while, but do you think that they may have had something to do with this?
I suppose it's possible. But to what end?
I don't know. But Starfleet intelligence isn't as heavy-handed as it used to be, and it's hard to believe that Starfleet would plan a thing like this.
Leave it with me, Jake. I'll see what I can find out.
Well, I'm still going to poke around, Julian. Let me know when you find anything.
Jake, now, wait a minute.
No, Julian, I won't wait a minute. Nog was my best friend. Dax was my dad's best friend. No, I'm not going to just wait a minute.
You're right. I'm sorry. Jake, just promise me you'll be careful.
I'm sorry too, Julian. It's been a long week.
It's fine.
And I feel like I'm not doing enough. I didn't mean to lose my temper, but you don't have to worry about me, Julian.
Yes, Jake. But the last thing I told Ezri when she went to investigate was to be careful. And if I can't lose Ezri. Ezri was my wife for 10 all too short years.
I completely understand, Julian, and thank you. I'll be careful.
You know, it's funny. Ezri wasn't the romantic that Jadzia was. Neither of us ever thought marriage was something we needed. I remember the night we decided to get married. No proposal. No one got down on one knee. We'd had a wonderful dinner on trim. Ezri wanted to see the neighborhood where her mother had grown up, and there was something about the way her eyes sparkled in the moonlight as we walked through the downtown district. There were times when we were just in sync. A light rain had begun to fall, and we ducked under an awning. She took my hand, and we turned to each other, and almost at the exact same time, we said, "Let's get married."
Wow.
Kira happened to be on the station when we got back. And, sometimes I forget that other people were affected by her death too. I do everything I can, Jake, to find out more.
That sounds good, Julian. I'll talk to you soon. Cisco out.
Computer. Applied transmission protocol beta pi 7. And open a channel.
Acknowledged. Channel open.
I suppose you've been monitoring.
Well, of course I have, Julian. So touching.
So, what of it? Did you have something to do with this? I've heard no reports about the accidents, but once Jake mentioned it.
Once he mentioned it, your quaint little mind went scurrying to work for you, huh? You want to know that if I've been conducting some business without keeping you apprised? Julian, I'm hurt. You don't trust me.
I've never trusted you. And I've never made a secret of that.
No, you haven't. But you're not very good with secrets these days, are you?
I keep the secrets that I must.
You'll keep the secrets Section 31 requires. Or you'll find that your conditional association with our organization will come to a rather distasteful end.
Death. You really should learn to deal with threats as surgical instruments, my dear. Really, you seem to forget that your role in Section 31 wasn't by choice either. And if you think that you have more allies than I do...
Oh, all right. Enough with these pleasantries. Section 31 has nothing to do with Captain Nog's death. I mean, personally, been there, done that. In fact, we're still awaiting word for some of our operatives on this very issue.
Why was I unaware that we were investigating this? My wife was involved.
Your wife, yes. Exactly. Is why you were kept unaware. Section 31 is an organization that requires precision, especially where Ezri is concerned, or was concerned. You're hardly a precise instrument. You know, I don't think I ever told you, but I was acquainted with an Ezri too. We were very, very close.
Oh, shut up!
My goodness, Julian. Oh, that's quite a temper.
Enough! Now listen closely, intendant. If you hear of anything from our operatives regarding the accidents, I expect you to contact me immediately. And in case I'm not being clear, I'll start monitoring your communications as well. I've already accessed the onboard system you've been using, a helping hand from Garik in return for your gracious assistance. And if I don't hear from you in the next few days, I have a lovely canapé for you to try from the kitchens of the Tal Shiar.
Oh, Julian, you really do care, don't you? You didn't think I'd discover your access. I hardly think that you can sneeze without my knowledge.
You have no idea what I'm capable of. And I like it that way.
That makes two of us. But I'll keep that in mind.
Then I eagerly await your call.
How titillating. Kira out.
Jake? Is that you?
That's me. I'm using an encrypted channel.
All right, hold on a minute. Okay, I've secured my transmission. What can I do for you?
I'm guessing you haven't heard anything new.
Well, not exactly. But I haven't been able to confirm what I've been hearing. So I didn't want to contact you with unsubstantiated rumors.
Well, I mean, anything you've heard is worth sharing. But I have to tell you that I do think that I'm being monitored. I've had more communication difficulties in the last week than we saw on Deep Space Nine the entire time I lived there.
But to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised. The last fragment of information came from a Talarian freighter captain I know named Erdan. He was on his way back from a cargo run in the Gamma Quadrant.
The Gamma Quadrant?
Yeah, I was just as surprised. Erdan said that he was at a tavern on Decalo 4 and that he overheard a drunken docile telling the bartender that a couple of Starfleet officers had been, well, taken care of.
Why would the Gamma Quadrant have anything to do with this?
I'm wondering the same thing. Erdan didn't know much more, but at least gives you a starting point.
Yeah, maybe. You don't think that the Dominion has decided
Oh,
to.
no. We haven't heard a word from the Dominion since Odo went back to his people. Somehow, I think that if they did decide to get back to their more militant ways, Odo would find a way to let us know.
Yeah, that's a good point. I wonder what he's doing.
I imagine he's happy. If he wasn't, I think I would have heard from him. You know, I phaser sweep every new franchise before opening day, just for old time's sake. But I'd like to think he's happy. Otherwise, someone else is trading insults with him, and I wouldn't stand for that.
Oh, no. I'm sure that if Odo was going to insult anyone at all, you'd be the first.
Thank you. I'd like to think he's out there sharing his memories of me in the Great Link.
Well, this has just made our shared business a bit harder. Thanks, Quark. Let me know if you hear anything else.
You'll be the first to know. Rom deserves some peace after what he's been through.
He does.
Take care, Jake.
You too. Cisco out.
Garik to Bashir?
Bashir, to whom am I speaking?
It's me, Julian. I'm sorry to have left you in the care of my synthetic associate. By the way, what did you think of him?
Very interesting. You don't say, though. Where did you hurry off to?
Well, I only ask that because it seems to me a bit difficult to program humor and irony. But anyway, I couldn't afford to reveal where I had gone at the time, but I had some business to attend to with the Andorians. As I told you during our lunch, they were considering leaving the Federation.
Yes. And as I told you, they deserve to know that you were trying to manipulate them into staying.
Yes. Your tedious Federation morality. You know, Julian, sometimes it truly amazes me that you haven't gotten yourself killed by trying to be so blatantly honest. It's a terrible trait in an operative, I must tell you.
On the contrary, it's served me fairly well so far.
Well, I suppose it has, yeah. However, luck has a funny way of running out at the most inopportune times. And you can enter into negotiations with people who have been affected by changes you've made behind the scenes, and they never need to know.
You don't say.
Yes.
Well, these days I'm more inclined to believe that we make our own luck. Granted, I admit my honesty is far more selective these days. It's a bit of a tango to make it work during some operations.
Agree to disagree. Doctor, we do have the same dance, but we have different partners. All right, well, in order to allay the Andorians' furious reaction, I've committed considerable Cardassian resources to assisting with the terraforming projects. That will allow them to expand their colonization efforts outside of their solar system. In fact, I've even located a barely habitable moon in Cardassian space that suits their needs quite well. And their population growth is remarkable during the cold season.
Garak, that's remarkable. It's almost...
Oh, no, don't say it, Doctor.
I can't help myself. Your generosity is almost human in its nobility. Well done.
Julian, my selective attacks of nobility were keeping them steadily within Federation purview. Now, if you weren't so persuasive
and charming.
Oh, you're always charming, Julian.
I'm sorry, Elim. I shouldn't make light of your change of heart.
No need to apologize. To be fair, I'm quite impressed that you were able to convince me to be more open to diplomacy. And who's to say that during these last 6 months, my self-isolation hasn't caused me to gain some level of empathy? It certainly doesn't come easily. The Andorians are a powerful ally to have, not to mention the fact that the moon they'll be settling is far too cold for Cardassian mining operations, and it happens to hold a wealth of magnesite ore. So my generosity isn't entirely human, as it were.
Well, I will concede that, but only because we have other things to discuss. The Breen, for example.
Don't be smug, Doctor. It's not becoming. And the Breen issue is far more complex than I'm comfortable discussing. Though it may have something to do with the young Mr. Sisko's investigation.
Young Mr. Cisco. Garak, where did you put your listening device this time? I am out of range.
Kukalaka.
Kukalaka? You bugged an old teddy bear?
Well, when I was in your shuttle, I figured you would always have it around, so I wouldn't destroy it just yet. Julian has a secondary feature. It can be used to obscure your location and scramble your comm readings. After all, I can be a helpful resource.
Then what is the intendant overhearing now?
A banal personal log about the sumptuous lunch I've prepared.
How domestic.
Yes, I thought she'd particularly hate that. Anyway, according to my sources, the Breen have been traveling to and from the Gamma Quadrant far more often than they have ever been before. And as a rule, the Breen don't travel far from home.
No, they don't. I wonder what they could be doing in the Gamma Quadrant.
I don't know. But upon my return home, I'll be authorizing an investigation of my own. I'll keep you apprised. You do the same.
Well, consider it done. This investigation is getting more and more mysterious.
Ah, indeed. But as with all puzzles, my friend, each new piece brings us closer to a complete picture.
Mystery creates wonder, and wonder is the basis of man's desire to understand. One of us first space travelers said that, Neil Armstrong. Rather prescient.
Poetic, if not enigmatic. Garik out.